Welcome to Midwest Paratalk Radio with your host, Deb and Gregg. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Midwest Paratalk Radio. I am... God damn it.
You're Greg. I'm Deb.
I'm Greg. That's Deb. And you're listening to Midwest Paratalk Radio. Sorry about that, YouTube. I don't know. It wants to roll off the tongue, man. I don't know why. I did that. I've done that the last 3 shows, I think. I don't know what's wrong with me. Well, anyway, hey, welcome to Midwest Paratalk Radio. I'm Greg. That's Deb. That's Astrid. She's right over there. You say hi, wave. And you guys are listening to us live at Midwest Paratalk Radio on YouTube. Also on MidwestParatalkRadio.com, live 365. And you're on WMPP, Digital Broadcasting, Richland, Kokomo, Indiana. All right. Hey, welcome. How's it going?
It's going. I'm getting through the week, working towards Saturday.
Right? Yeah, Deb and I are going on an investigation Saturday in Kokomo, and there's a couple locations that the team is going to check out. So I'm going to swing up. I'm going to leave here probably around 9 o'clock my time. It'll take me about 4 hours to get there. But once I hit town, then I'll hit you up, and then I'll pick you up, and then we'll go swing by and do that. And that one location, and then we'll head over and do the other location, and it's going to be awesome. I dug through tonight and found all of my digital voice recorders and all of that have been buried away for I don't know how long.
Me too. I got my Zoom out, and I got a new battery in it, and I brought an extra battery because you know how that happens. And I dug up my old K2 meter. Yeah, mine is so old you still got to put a penny in it.
Mine too.
It ain't got the
switch. Too. So, hey, you know, it's not that we're old; we're seasoned investigators. That's the going consensus here. I think seasoned investigators.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
So go ahead and introduce Astrid, and we'll talk to her a little bit about her place and some of the events that went on at the investigation we did. I think we said 2012.
I believe I saw that on one of the date stamps on some of the stuff that I found. Thank God. This is my friend Astrid Shockley. She lives here. We did an investigation, and I think your house was the first private investigation that we did when we were Paranormal Underground, when we first got our little team together.
Yeah, it was.
And it was a really good one. And I appreciate you letting us come to your house, and I appreciate you coming here. And
it was fun
hanging out with us and talking about it and other stuff while you're here. I believe it was 2012 anyway. And we got a chance to, how old was your house?
My house is about 110 years old.
Yeah, it's an old house. And the thing that I remember about her house is that it was full of antique stuff. I mean, even the pictures on the walls were antiques.
I see dead people.
She has pictures.
There's no doubt about that. There is no doubt about that.
Yeah, we saw a few when we were there too.
Right.
Ask my kids. They are always talking about I have more dead people on the wall than them. Yeah. It's true. They call me.
You didn't even know some of those people. You just like.
I don't know who they are. They just call me. I have to buy them. So yes.
Really
now,
neat, but
so when you say you were kind of compelled to buy them, now, I mean, are you sensitive? Are you gifted in any way?
Yes.
She's an identical twin too, you know, so they're already psychic.
Yeah. I can just tell. I can read like people's emotions. I've had, premonitions as a small child. In grade school, we had to count the how many jelly beans were in the jar, and then the teacher would have us guess. I always guessed it on the head, on the penny, and the teacher thought I was counting them all day long before the contest. So no, the pictures just call me. I just see them, and it's just like I feel the emotion in the person's face and in the eyes in the picture, and I feel like I have to have it.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Well, I mean, I can see that. You know, one of the first rules, I guess my first rule is never go antiquing.
I don't buy antiques. I don't like it.
No, there's just way too much. And I mean, here recently there was an encounter, and I won't mention any names or anything, but a couple was having issues after they brought in an older dresser into their place. What they were dealing with was pretty dark. But that's why I don't do it. I don't want antique stuff. I don't want dead people stuff. I don't want. Hey, you can keep it.
I just like new stuff. I want new stuff.
I've always been drawn to the old things.
Yeah, I mean, always. So I mean, even when you were
always.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You know, people that have these kind of experiences like she had in her house, you know, and is it still happen? Do you still have things going on there? You're still in the house, right?
Yeah, since Natalie's moved out, it's dissipated.
That's her daughter, Natalie, who is, I think maybe, 13 or 14 at the time we were there. She's an adult now, and we're going to have her on as a guest next week. We thought about bringing you both on together, but it's like, I don't know. We ain't got enough time for that. So.
Right. Yeah. We'd have to do a double show on that one anyway.
So, but she's going to be here next week. But we even thought back then when we were going through reviewing all of the data that we had compiled, we kind of thought maybe Natalie was behind some of it, not that she was creating it, you know what I mean? But intentionally, but like what is that? Psychokinesis, you know, like she was
kinetic.
Yeah,
she is.
Right. See, and we were onto that back then.
She just discovered she was just recently.
Well, generally, when you get, I guess, prepubescent teens, like right on the verge of becoming monsters. I mean, teenagers. They tend to have that ability, and 9 times out of 10, they really don't know that they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so she wouldn't have had any idea what was going on, because I don't think she did, because she seemed to me pretty genuine at the time about kind of concerned about what was going on. She didn't, she wasn't sure what was happening. So I mean, we had talked about it then. Deb and I talked about it recently.
Yeah, we talked about it again recently when we were thinking about, seeing if you guys would come on the show.
She's recently told me things that she used to see in the house that she's just now telling me about, because she told me that she thought everybody saw that stuff.
See, that's the way I was when I was a kid. I thought the stuff I went through was normal. You don't know any different, until you get out and start telling people.
Yeah, when she started talking to people, she realized she needed to be quiet.
Right.
So then she went through a period to where she just tried to ignore it. She told me, I'm just not going to talk about it anymore. I'm just going to ignore it. And
when we were there, I feel like she was in that the throes of those teenage angst, where they're moody and depressed, and how kids are, how teenagers get. And I kind of felt that from her, and I kind of thought maybe it was either because of all the stuff that was going on here, or because she was that way, and teenagers are just like that sometimes from hormones and everything, that was creating like an avenue for this stuff to come.
And she had to be careful with her friends who she told, because would they believe her or would they walk away from her? So
we've got some really good EVPs. We've played an EVP in a video before, here because just they're so good. I love them, and I like to share that kind of stuff with folks. But so I don't know, Greg. What do you want to do? You want to start? You want to hit it right in and listen to them, or do you want to chat some more? It's up to you.
Well, we were talking a little bit before the show, and you were saying, Astrid, that the stuff that was going on in the house has always been going on in the house.
Correct.
Have you always had the antiques? Always? Like, was there any time in that house that you didn't have any activity?
No, those antiques came from another house that was full of activity, even worse than the house that I'm living in currently since 2002. So a lot of those antiques came with me, and then I just added to them. But a lot of the pictures I had already in the other house, and I brought them, and then I added more.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, yes, I've always had antiques ever since I've lived on my own. Once I got divorced, I could decorate the way I wanted, and the antiques just came out.
Gotcha. Now, what seemed to be like the trigger point? Like, okay, we've got some paranormal stuff happening here. Can't explain it. Just kind of, when did you really start getting that vibe?
Shortly after we moved in, it was I had daughters. I have 3 daughters. So when my 2 oldest daughters started having slumber parties, like immediately after we moved in February 2002, we immediately started having activity where my daughter's friends would sleep on the couch or the floor upstairs, and they'd tell my daughter that they could hear heavy furniture being dragged in the basement floor.
Okay.
And then they were talking about they could hear people scream, a woman scream.
I'm surprised anybody would come back.
They didn't. Some of them didn't. I didn't hear the woman scream for quite a long time. I was by myself one night. My kids saw their dad on a regular basis on the weekend, and it was one of those weekends that I was laying in bed in the middle of the night, and I heard a woman just scream. And I ran outside thinking someone was being stabbed or they got ran over, something horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran up and down the block, couldn't find anything. So I was hearing some sort of residual scream from a woman. I did start hearing things being dragged across the basement floor, something heavy. That's what really started it. When my girls were spending the night somewhere, I'd be alone, and the doorway to the upstairs was shut, and the doorknob would jiggle, like really jiggle.
I've seen that on TV, and I don't like that.
Yeah, and then I'd see some sort of black flat blob like float in between the doorway. There's a little, I call it a breezeway from upstairs in the basement to where you open up my door to the back room.
Mm-hmm.
I could see this floating black blob just float in the air. But what really flipped me out was the doorknob just jiggling and jiggling and jiggling and jiggling. And I finally opened it up thinking something was behind there, and there wasn't nothing there. So.
How did you get the courage to open the door?
I don't know. It was just that, because I have cats.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought my cat was locked up in there when my daughter left. But then I realized my cats were all downstairs. But yeah, just weird things. Right. Lights flickering off and on.
Now, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. I mean, was there any kind of physical type disturbances? Were you getting scratched? Were you getting pushed? Were you?
My daughter told me one time that when she was little, she remembers something shoving her down the stairs.
Yeah.
Like she could feel like she was being pushed down the stairs.
Huh. That's not cool.
Right.
That would be unpleasant for a teenager.
She'd see shadows up in the stairway. Like even today, when she comes to my house, she'll put 2 small Testament Bibles, one at the bottom of the stairway, and she opens it up, and then one at the top, facing towards the bedroom. We always have those there. Always.
She opened them up to specific passages, or just open them up?
That's something you'll have to ask her when you have her on, because I really don't know.
Where did she get the idea to do that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to ask her.
Yeah. She's always seen things in the stairway, things in the bedroom, and she used to talk to little girls. She drew a beautiful picture of a little girl that had like a period piece, white gown, and dark hair and dark eyes. She actually drew her for me. I still have it. She used to see a little girl in the bathroom, like walk across the bedroom. Now, some of her friends did used to report seeing like a girl like walk in and out of the house. They thought it was me, but then when they realized it wasn't me, they were like, "Who was that girl that just walked in the house?" So,
I remember something about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Didn't we have the Marine and his wife with us on this investigation?
Yes, we did.
And
I believe we did.
Upstairs in the attic, we started getting military responses.
Like, hoorah.
While we're doing the EVP session. And I don't know if we have that. I'll have to look for that too, because that was a really good one. And the story behind that is Matt is his name. Is actually still a Marine.
Oh yeah.
And he started doing an EVP session, but doing it as I think he was a drill sergeant at one time, but started talking to this entity as a drill sergeant, and this entity or this ghost is answering him back in a military cadence. And I thought that was pretty cool, because it went beyond a residual type encounter to full on intelligent conversation being had between these two in the attic. It was pretty epic.
Well, yeah, I'm looking in here. I'm looking excuse me, in what I have online here. I mean on my computer.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that. And some of these EVPs are direct answer to questions. You're asking questions in the audio clips, and the EVPs that we got were direct answers right away to you, to the questions that you asked. And then of course my favorite one, the EVP of her grandmother saying her name. Astrid is a not a common name. And
it sounds like her voice.
That's what got me. She said as soon as she heard the first time when we did the reveal for her, she said, "Oh my gosh, that sounds just like my grandma." And didn't your grandma had just passed a couple weeks before we were there? It'd been a few weeks or a month or so that she had passed away.
No, but she's in my house all the time. People that are sensitive tell me that she won't leave them alone.
So the group that we had at the time was called Paranormal Underground Research Team, and we had put PERT together shortly before doing this investigation at Astrid's house. Right now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring on one of the other lead investigators for PERT. Her name is Angie Parker. We're going to bring her into the studio now. Here's Angie. Say hi, Angie.
Hey,
Hi.
Do you remember?
Hey,
Angie?
how are you guys doing?
Good.
How's everybody doing?
We're good.
Good.
How are you? Long time no see.
I'm good.
Good.
I know. I'm
So
here by myself. It's echoing. It's weird.
it is a little bit weird. So we're talking about the investigation that we did at Astrid's house. I don't know. Do you remember that investigation in Kokomo? We had Matt and
Very well.
his wife. What
Christina.
was her name? Christina were there, and we were just talking about
Christina?
the attic stuff that was going on, where he was talking to doing the EVP session as a drill sergeant, and the entity actually responding to him. And we were trying to find the EVPs
Right.
of that.
I remember that.
So we'll have to find it. And
I have them on a computer here.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, it's if we can download it. It's one that I gave Mom to use while she was in the hospital, and it fell and the screen broke. But I think everything's still on the hard drive. I have it saved in my computer or in my closet because I have all that stuff. I didn't get rid of any of it. I even have
Right.
the disc that we made from some of them, some of the investigations. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
But if you remember, I had to leave the attic because I got real dizzy. You remember that? I remember that. My what's it called?
Oh,
Equilibrium
yeah.
went way off the charts up in the attic, and I had to go back downstairs.
I remember that. Yeah, because we sent you back down to base camp. Yeah.
I don't even think I went
Yeah,
in the attic.
I didn't
and
either.
I don't think I did.
Uh-huh. Natalie went, right?
and if you
Yes.
remember, Greg, when I got back down to base camp and I was watching at the beginning of the investigation, when I went into that bedroom right off of base camp, I had Matt and Christina following me. And then when we went back to review the video, you could see the outlines of the head and shoulders of someone peeking around that
Yes.
corner there around the doorway. If you remember that, I still
Yeah.
have that video as well.
Yeah, we have it uploaded here too. We're going to show that tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Matt and Christina
Oh, right on.
was upstairs in the attic. It was me, Natalie. That's her name, right? Natalie.
Mm-hmm.
And Corey and Deb. And then Angie
Corey.
had gone down. Yeah. And then, but yeah, if you want to,
Yeah.
Deb, do you want to fire off a couple of these EVPs that we have uploaded, and we'll kind of go from there. We'll talk about those and see what we can come up with here.
All right. Well, I'll play my favorite one first. It's the voice of her grandmother, we think, calling her name. And like I said, Astrid is not as a common name around here as it may be in other countries. You know, is it French?
It's Norwegian.
Norwegian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but my mother's best friend was, because my mother's French, so she named me after her best friend,
okay.
who was named Astrid. But in France, they call it Astrid.
Nice. Anyway, this is the EVP that we caught of her being called. Did you hear it?
Mm-mm.
It's not as loud on. It doesn't come through as loud.
Oh, I heard it.
There it is.
I turned up the volume on the audio for the.
Kick the volume up for the EVPs.
Yeah.
I can't remember if you asked who was there or if it just came out and said my name. I can't remember why the response came through. Was there a specific question going on at the time? Or?
I don't think so. I think we were just talking, and I happened to catch it.
I think what it was in the living room.
Yeah, we were sitting in the living room, and Diane was on the couch,
JJ
and JJ, and you and I were in there, and Greg, and
We were just cool.
I turn on my recorders usually as soon as I hit a place, as soon as I hit the door, and I will turn them on even before we do EVP sessions, because sometimes when you're just sitting around and having a bit of a conversation, whatever's there wants to participate, you know? And so I think it was during one of those times. It was not an actual session when we were doing things, but that's my favorite one. And it just was so clear. And you just, like I said, you can't.
Yeah, there's.
I mean, there's something there.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Let's do the Smokey or the entity video.
Oh, okay. Where am I going here? Okay.
It's Peking Mist is like the fourth one down in the queue.
Oh, yep, there it is. Keep your eyes on the lower left corner of the doorway there where that photo is on the wall. See it?
Oh yeah.
There it was.
There it is. And there was nothing, there wasn't anybody behind
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
So
Well, no, I think Christina and Kyle were in that bathroom, but they were in the bathroom.
No, because we had went into the bathroom because they were asking me about the readings.
Was it you, Ange?
Yeah, because Christina had came back out and got me and said that there was something going on with the readings, and Matt wasn't sure what was going on. So I followed her into the bathroom, and as soon as we were both in the bathroom, out of the area, that's when that
Right.
he kind of went.
Well, that's interesting because Natalie always talks about there's something in the bathroom.
Yeah, there were some weird readings on, I believe, the EMF in that bathroom, and we were talking about that, and that's right. There's three of you that went in there, but the way that bathroom is, it's one of those things where there's like a 2.5-3 foot wall before the door, if I remember right.
That room used to be a butler's pantry.
There you go. So yeah, and once you're in that bathroom, you're in the bathroom. But the thing that's compelling for me with that video alone is that the head and shoulders peeking around is completely transparent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can see through it, but you can see that there's something peeking around the corner at us. Sees us, and it's like, oh shit, and then back around the corner it went.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was probably one of the best cuts of video from that investigation. Of that's one that tickled me.
And I found another video clip that I had made, or somebody had made, that was in the package that we gave her, where you could see this pulsating. The light was pulsating strangely, and I'm not sure the context of this. It's been so long ago, and I don't remember it. So maybe if you guys see it, you'll remember it, or you'll remember it.
I remember it was like a pulsating light.
Yeah, and we couldn't explain it, so I'll show you this. See, it looks like there's a light being turned on and off somewhere, and nobody's there.
It almost looks like a shadow right there.
Yeah. And there's the date.
It's going faster. Oh, it was June 3rd, 2012.
2012.
I knew it was summertime.
And that was being picked up by one of our cameras that we had that was standalone. Yeah. Ooh, that was a long time ago. Yeah. Did you catch it in the end where it was flashing really quick?
11 years.
There wasn't anybody there. Right. Ange, I still remember I was with you the night before the tornado wrecked my house in 2013. The night before I was at your house. Remember the hayride and stuff? And then the next day, all hell broke loose.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, I don't remember.
You know what? Funny you mentioned that. The hayride's this Saturday.
Oh.
This year's hayride is this coming Saturday.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. That was a lot of fun, but
I think Deb might take a pass on that one.
Yeah.
Actually, it's next Saturday, not this Saturday. But I don't blame her for taking a pass.
Right.
Oh, Lordy.
After we left, Astrid, after we packed up, after we got out of there, was the activity heightened? Was it about the same, just continuous? Was there anything out of the ordinary was out of the ordinary already? Oh, what are you throwing rocks?
I really didn't notice
Who?
any more activity because
Yeah.
I was just so used to it
Yeah.
that if it was increasing, I really didn't notice. But as my daughter, there was a period after that to where she kind of shut down. Anything she saw or heard, she didn't want to talk about it anymore. She just wanted to will it away. And then suddenly she just started telling me, activity was picking up.
Yeah.
So there was just a lot going on in the house that she's just now telling me because she didn't want to upset me.
Right.
She was
Yeah.
always worried she was going to upset me, but she has told me a lot of things recently that really blows my mind.
Yeah. And
But
the interesting
she
thing
told her
is,
friends, but she wouldn't tell me.
yeah. And see, I'm wondering because sometimes when you do investigations like this, you go into a place and do your thing, and then you kind of pack up and out the door you go. Sometimes activity will heighten just a little bit, where
Well, that's something I guess when you have Natalie on the show, you can ask her.
yeah, definitely.
Because a lot of it evolved around her, specifically around her for some reason.
Right.
So
I think a lot of, like, we had said the whole PK
Well,
thing.
if you remember
What's that, Ange?
when I came out of the attic, I was asking questions about your daughter because a lot of the ghost box chatter was about your daughter and the spirits saying that they were there to protect her. And remember when I came out of the attic, you and I started talking, and you had a court date coming up for some stuff that was personal stuff that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we think that the spirits were surrounding your daughter to protect her because of all the stuff that was happening outside that you guys were going.
Well, they still do protect her. Some of one in particular has followed her since she's moved and specifically told her they are there to protect her and watch over her. So, yeah.
Interesting.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I did too.
Natalie's going to be on the show next week with us, Ange, and we'll talk to her about a lot of the stuff that's going on. So, let's dig into another EVP. Let's.
You want to hear the one dead here? Yeah, I let her listen to some of these before, so.
Where is the woman that is constantly in the stairwell?
Who knows? I heard the dead.
Yeah, there were several deads. Different voices saying dead, and then who knows?
Yeah, there is a little girl that's in the stairway. I forgot about that Natalie says she was always looking at her from the stairwell. I forgot about that.
That's a little. Didn't she say it was like a cream dress with strawberries on it?
Yeah. She actually drew a picture of her for me. Okay. She has long dark hair and dark eyes and some sort of period piece, long cream nightgown on.
Okay.
And barefoot. She's barefoot.
Right.
This one that is the man singing. It's strange because the sounds almost like the audio is a little distorted somewhat or chopped, but we didn't do that. That's how it landed on the recording. And but you can definitely hear a man singing, and there wasn't anybody singing when we were there. So I'll play that one next. Again, this was at Astrid's house.
Did
you hear it? You hear how the audio was like broke?
Yeah, I heard that. Play
that. It almost sounds like he's saying "love you" or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me turn my headphones down just a little bit and then kick it off. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Love you.
Oh yeah,
And that's
I can
not any.
love
Yeah.
you.
And it wasn't anybody
Right.
there that we could see, but somebody loved you. Somebody loved somebody there.
Right. Somebody was loving somebody pretty well.
Oh Lord. Okay, now
Now, are you still in
Here-
the house?
yeah, she's still there.
Yeah.
I'm still here. I'm just losing it.
Okay.
Now here's one that's kind of tickles me. I'm not exactly sure what I think this was another time when we were just kind of sitting around before we were doing an EVP session, but you can hear a guy say, "So Deb, what is up?" But it's like, what is up? Not what's up, but what is up?
What's crack-a-lacking?
You said what's crack-a-lacking. He used to say that a
It's
lot.
crack lacking. I remember that.
You remember that, Ed?
I
Play it
do.
again.
I do.
What's crack-a-lacking?
Okay. I think you can hear this one. It was a fainter one. But it's someone calling for help. Sorry. Somebody pulled in my driveway. Okay. I'll try this and see if we can hear it. Can you hear it? It was like, it sounds like a scraping instead of a speaking sound, but I believe when I was listening to it, with my Sony's on, it sounded like "help me." It's really loud. Like,
Yeah, I got that. Help
I
me.
heard the help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to turn my speakers down a little bit to hear it, but yeah, I could hear it.
yeah, it's almost like something got its face right into the microphone,
Yeah.
which has happened before.
Right.
I'll play it one more time. So just warning. Yeah. And then you told me before we went on the air that you'd heard somebody call for help.
My grandma used to say "help me" all the time when I used to see her at the nursing home, because she was getting dementia. But I think she knew my face, because when I walk in, she'd get really agitated and she'd say "help me" all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whether that's her or not, I can't. I don't know. What's the whale?
Oh, my bad. My security just went off.
Okay. Pistols.
I'm not. Let me play that one. I'm not sure if that's
I got a few myself.
from this investigation or not.
All right, guys, we're leaving. Thanks.
That's Natalie's voice in the background.
Okay. Did you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
What was that?
She said it was Natalie's voice early in the beginning, said, "Okay, guys, we're leaving." And then it was a, "oh," at the end. That's the EVP, the part. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because before you guys even showed up, I was kind of like kidding. Goes, well, whatever's in this house, here's your opportunity to come out wherever you are. It's your chance to talk and make your peace, And then I wasn't expecting all that.
Yeah, I'll play that whale again.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're leaving. Thanks.
Natalie goes, thanks. She sounds so young.
That cracks me up.
Okay. And another EVP is you, Greg, asking a question, and this is the answer.
Okay.
What was your wife's name?
Oh, it wasn't you. Sorry.
Went up a couple octaves.
Great.
Sorry.
You kind of got a familiar with
Wait a
octave
minute.
higher.
Who, was that Ange? Was that Angie's
Play it again.
voice? Anyway, the answered Lee.
What was your wife's name? Lee. Sound like saying Layla.
It might have been. It could be. I put Lee on there, but she thinks it sounds like Layla.
My grandma's name is Layla.
and she said her
Hit it
grandma's
up
name is name.
Let's hear it.
What was your wife's name? Lee.
You know what? Maybe you're right, Layla. Now
That's my
have to
grandma's
say that.
name.
Well, if that's the
I
case,
think
then that
it
must
is.
be grandfather.
That would be my grandfather.
Yeah.
JJ used to say my grandpa and grandma were in the house. Always talking to him.
He was psychic, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Your friend that was there that
Well,
night.
yeah, he's your friend too.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's friend.
I haven't talked to him
Me
since
either. Me either.
since 2012.
Me either.
so.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next one here is another answer. I think this is the one Greg is asking the question on. My bad. Sorry, Greg. I'm getting old. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
How many spirits are in this house?
Did you just hear an 8?
Yeah. That's like really quick. 8. And that was
8.
definitely Greg. That was definitely Greg.
That was
I'll play that one again. I like to play EVPs a couple times anyways.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
How many spirits are in this house?
Did you just hear an 8?
Yeah.
Little
Yeah.
crowded in
Does
that
that
house.
voice sound familiar to anybody?
No.
It doesn't sound familiar to you?
Mm. No.
Sounded like a younger voice.
Mhm. Let's see. I can't remember what this one is. The oh yeah. Let's play that one.
Did you used to own this house at one time?
Oh yeah.
Right as soon as she asked that, you can hear It's like immediately after.
Oh yeah.
That house only had like 5 or 6 owners. There hadn't been a lot of owners.
And considering it's like 130 years old, that's not.
And
a
one
lot.
lady and her husband lived there for over 30 years. So that's 30 years. I mean, that it was owned. And
Wow.
there was a man after her that bought it, and he owned it for like a year or two. And then I bought it from him. So that's 3 owners right there in the century, you know?
Mm-hmm. It would be interesting to know. Did the previous owners, or were you able to talk to the ones that were there for 30 years?
My daughter actually worked in the nursing home as a CNA, and she got to meet the lady that owned it for 30 years. And then her daughter came and gave me some pictures from the 60s of the house when they lived in it. And then I did a genealogy of the house. And the original owner came from out east, and he came here with a large family because that's only like a 2-bedroom house. I don't know how he fit everyone in that house, but he owned the first general store in Burlington and the first printing press.
Okay.
And then a state legislature bought it and lived in it for quite some time too. So it has some history.
Yeah, for sure.
Did they say anything to her about any activity prior when they lived there, or?
Natalie, to my knowledge, she never asked.
Yeah. So I'm curious to know, I mean, is it something with the house, or is it something with you and Natalie? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'd have been
That's the
interesting to know.
$1,000,000 question.
Well, you said that it doesn't happen as often since Natalie's
I
gone.
still feel something in it,
Mhm,
but I'm not afraid of it.
mhm.
I think I've gotten accustomed to it.
Yeah, you could definitely do that.
But
Sure.
when Natalie lived there, it was just right and left. Just now, in all honesty, no matter where I've lived since she was born, I've had activity.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and when I spoke to her on text, she says she still has she has things.
well, when she was a baby and she'd stay with her father for the weekend, all of her toys would wind up and start playing.
Ah, that reminds me of Close
No, no,
Yeah, since she wasn't home.
that's some Heather O'Rourke shit right there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you could have. Well, she didn't know. Yeah, when she would leave, her toys would start up, and I'd like make sure all the toys were in the basket, and I make sure that they weren't moving, and then they just all start playing at once. Yeah,
If the play phone rings, don't answer. There's
Don't
nobody
answer.
home,
No, not at all.
right?
yeah.
I'm sorry you've reached our voicemail. Please leave a message at the tone. Beep. Gotta go. See you later.
We got a couple interesting pictures here.
Yeah. Let's
where did
put
I-
those
okay.
up as well.
Okay. That, well, it just for one thing, it's all blurry, and that was
This is with your
kind of-
camera, Deb.
Yeah, what was that? Some kind of infrared camera? Or,
That's the
That was
UV.
that low light white one,
Mhm.
the UV.
Yeah.
And you can see there's just a lot of smeariness, especially around these two folks. That's not. This is the one. Let me see. I can't see it now. It don't look very impressive here. Let's try this one there. I think we're looking at a face right here. Well, you can't see my fingers, so never mind. But okay.
There it is. That's
There,
it.
that's the money shot.
That's the one.
Tell them
All right.
about this picture here.
So what's interesting about the picture is there's Diane,
Mhm.
and then there looks like there's some sort of image where it looks like my grandpa or my grandma, because they always had on a black sweater and the silver hair. It looks like they're like leaning forward
Mhm.
over Diane or JJ in between them. And then where JJ was sitting, there is some sort of image of some sort of guy, which I take it as period clothes from like the late 1800s, maybe.
Mhm.
And he's like sitting on top of JJ because that wasn't there before. I mean, so and there's a hand here too.
Yeah, I can see the hand on the footstool.
Yeah, so it looks like someone's trying to get
Mhm.
up, and then it looks like there's somebody sitting on top of JJ.
That
which
was
is really strange.
that looks Native American to me. Because his head is in the neck of whatever's sitting on top of him. Because he wasn't a very big guy.
Mhm.
And his head would be right about where that neck is. But then you can see the full image of the eyes, the nose, the forehead,
Yeah.
the ear, the long hair in the back.
And his collar's kind of raised up like some sort of period piece,
Yeah.
outfit.
And if you look to the left of Diane's blue shirt, it looks like there's a shadow standing in the corner. Yeah.
That's the short boy and then a taller man. Because when JJ went back and put him on his computer and showed me,
Mhm.
he actually pointed out something I believe we didn't see before was a taller guy and a shorter boy
Mhm.
that were standing next to each other about right here
Mhm.
from a different angle. When you had taken some pictures,
Mhm.
you could actually see the boy had on some sort of cap or hat. Just
So you can definitely see his shadow figure standing behind Diane.
Yeah.
And it gives me
Well,
the
I
chair.
can see his shoulder right here too, and the head.
Yeah, and then the chair was kind of distorted, like there's some kind of weird energy
on top of it.
Going on top of the
That's where I
chair.
was sitting.
Yeah.
Well,
You
look,
have your cat on your lap.
Mm-hmm.
look across the room from where that chair is sitting, and look in that glass.
Right here.
Mm-hmm. The brightness.
No, the other glass.
Oh, the dark. Okay, that's
The dark ending.
Oh,
back
the
of it.
outline of the person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But what was interesting about this is a lot of my memories was my grandpa and grandma having trouble getting out of their recliners,
Mm-hmm.
and they both had on black sweaters all the time. And I can't tell if that's grandma or grandpa, but that sure looked like my grandpa or grandma.
Mm-hmm.
And that hand definitely has to be theirs.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're trying to get up.
Yeah, they look a little hunched over.
Mm-hmm. And grandpa and grandma, especially grandma, had the hunchback from teaching all those years.
Yeah, it definitely. There's some strangeness on that in this picture.
It was almost like they're like sitting next to each other almost.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he made her move.
Move, Olay.
Maybe that couch is just getting a little too crowded. Maybe all 8 of them were trying to sit there.
Yeah. Well, that's that's pretty interesting photo. I'm so glad I found it. We just found it at the very last minute. The other two, the cropped face. I'm not exactly sure what big picture that came from. It looked a lot more impressive on my computer than it does here, so I apologize.
Yeah, the resolution on this upload is a little different.
Yeah, definitely.
It only shows, I think, in 720. It doesn't show in 1080p.
Okay, that's why
So
you can't really see it.
Right, which would explain some of the blurriness as well. And
yeah, but yeah, so I'm really glad I found that photo right at the very last minute.
Yeah, me too.
Sure. I had a lot of my paranormal stuff, and all the investigations, all the DVDs that we gave to all the clients that we had, a lot of mine got destroyed in the tornado, and fortunately, my husband was able to salvage some stuff that was on my hard drives before we trashed the computers, and then when Astrid came over the last time, or a few weeks ago, she or a month or so ago, she brought me the
I think
DVD
I still have a
we
lot
gave
of the CDs.
So yeah, Astrid brought me hers, and I was able to put that back in my files, which is great. So, but yeah, I lost a lot of stuff. I fortunately I saved a lot of stuff, but I also lost a lot of stuff. So
right,
it is what it is. I can't, couldn't do anything about it. So.
Do you have any more EVPs?
No, I think that's all the EVPs from this investigation. Astrid, I told you before, she's an identical twin. And I wanted to ask you, did your identical twin have strange stuff happen around her like you have? And you've told me some of the sightings that you've had. She's had some UFO sightings and interactions with that, as well as the paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
And I've told you before, I always feel like there's a connection, between these two genres of the paranormal. But does your
Ingrid,
does she have stuff like this happen to her?
Ingrid, I think, tunes a lot of it out, but she's the house she used to rent with her ex-husband. You remember the Coliseum explosion?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't know it, but that house was occupied by a lady and her granddaughter that died in the explosion. Ooh. And her daughter used to talk to this girl upstairs in her bedroom. And Ingrid's like, well, who are you talking to? And she's like, well, this is my friend. And she say her name. And Ingrid's like, oh, okay. Well, then Ingrid realized it was just getting strange. She was talking to her more and more. So Ingrid did a genealogy of the house and found out that girl that her daughter was talking to, that was the girl's name that died in the Coliseum explosion, the little girl. that went to see the Stars on Ice
Mhm.
with her grandma, and of course they didn't get to see it because of the explosion. So my twin sisters she had a lot of activity in that house she used to live in, and it was it was something dark in that house. It wasn't a good energy. It was a dark entity. I couldn't wait to get out of that house. I do know when I was younger, like 5, 6, I'd see things at the foot of my bed, like a short entity that was dark, and I always put the covers over my head, and Ingrid would always be sleeping next to me. And I remember having the image in the thought in my head, I was supposed to help mankind. And I didn't know why, because even as a 5-year-old, I'm thinking that's not normal to think it. And then for some reason, I knew what mankind meant, which I thought was even weirder.
Mhm.
But Ingrid recently, I talked to her about it, and she said when we lived at this particular house, she said her memory is she had a reoccurring nightmare, a dream that she was being chased by something all the time, and they kept saying can to her, chasing her, can. That's what she thought they were saying. But when I used to see this thing at the foot of the bed, she was always sleeping. So I don't know, but I started having these encounters when I was about 5 years old.
And that's about 5 or 6 is usually when a lot of people have their first memories of some weird happening.
Yeah, it picked up. It picked up in my 30s, late 20s, early 30s. It started picking up. Seeing. Did you want me to go into it or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. God, it's kind of like a coming out party for me to be saying this. Hi, y'all. I'm not crazy. My biggest memory was in the late 80s. I picked my mother home from work one night. She was working like till 12:30, something like that. And I drove her home. And on the corner where the Russ and Jan's used to be, that bar by the steel mill, what's that? Markland and Park, Markland and Phillips.
Yeah.
It's where Phillips stops, and they call it Park.
Right
there at the corner
where they have that turnabout now.
Yeah, where the turnabout is now, but where Russ and Jan's used to be, right there.
Yep.
That 4-way stop. I remember going home, and I woke up in my car in the front seat at the 4-way stop with my foot on the brake, and I had no memory. It's like my mind had been just empty, wiped out. And I kind of went like that, and I thought, God, did I fall asleep or what? And then I for some reason, I looked in my rearview mirror, and I saw 2 silver UFOs in back of my bumper. And they both took off to the west. And then I'm still trying to figure out what's going on, like I just saw 2 UFOs just take off from behind my car. And then I see a big one, about 10 feet off the ground, just kind of coasting really slow, going east on Markland Street. So I didn't tell anybody for years. And then when I finally talked to a family member, they're like, well, I remember looking at my car clock and it said 3:23 a.m. And that person that I drove them home said, you didn't leave that time. You left like 2 hours earlier. And she shot me a time. So I have like missing time.
It's Kokomo. Kokomo is
Right.
We got some things up here. Weird stuff happens up in Kokomo. And it doesn't surprise me that we have her here, and we did the ghost hunt on her, but then she ends up finding out that she's had these other experiences too.
I've had more with other people with me where you see the bright star, and then it zigzags, then all of a sudden it's as big as a football field with all these lights, and then it turns upside down like a gyroscope, and then all of a sudden it's just gone. I've had that with some family members.
So it's safe to say that Kokomo is the epicenter for crazy stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, what can I say?
Right.
But
well, and even like when we lived in Indy, I mean, we saw, or near Indy, like in New Franklin, we saw some weird things, anomalies in the sky and whatnot. But and I mean, moving down south and living where I live, you would think that I would see more. I guess you would technically have to go outside and look up, but we know that. But I mean, you would think there would be more stuff in the sky, but it's nothing like, you know, what you guys have up there in Kokomo.
Yeah.
I don't think anywhere else in Indiana that I have seen or heard of more anomalies than what goes on in Kokomo.
Well, you know, we have had the boom, we have the Kokomo hum, you know,
The orange orbs.
we have the O balls, the orange balls of light that were up here, and for, you know, tons of people were reporting those. Yeah, and we're only 18 miles south of Grissom Air Force Base and
Right.
Bunker Hill, and God only knows what's underground up there.
You know, I saw the lights.
Yeah,
I was outside when the boom hit.
See, here's another witness.
I was actually just shut my car door from coming back from college, and my daughter and I were outside when it hit. It sounded like the whole town of Rushville was just leveled.
I told you, we did a show on the boom. Was it last
week?
week? Last
Yeah.
week we did a show on it, and I had a bunch of, you know, because I was the investigator for it and a witness as well. See, I mean, there's no way a sonic boom could be heard over 3 counties.
I didn't see
And
one
do
row of
that.
lights. I saw 2. I
Mhm.
saw them go out one by one, and then it went like that. And my neighbor next door, Gary and Mary, saw them too. They were outside too.
Yes, it was this is a crazy town. But I think it's interesting that she, you know, I didn't know all this stuff about her until after we did the investigation. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. You know,
Well,
all
you know,
the UFO stuff.
Well, you know, about 10 years ago, I was laying in bed. You know, all this stuff happens when my kids are gone. But one Saturday morning, I woke up and my legs wouldn't move. And I felt this like vibration energy go through my body. And like my mind was just wiped out clean, like I had no memory. And then suddenly it just quit. And I laid there in bed, and it's like I just didn't want to move. And it took me a while to get my brain to start thinking. You know, everyone's thinking, well, Astrid, that's just you know. But I've always wondered about that too, because I felt some sort of energy like flow through me, and it had my legs pinned down. The rest of me can move, but my legs were pinned down.
You know, I've heard that before from other people, you know,
It was in the morning though, like really like maybe 7 or 8 in the morning. So it was daylight. I mean, when I woke up. So I mean, I've never experienced that again since I've lived in the house. So I've always wondered about that.
Well,
man, there's a lot of audio up in here. You put a lot of audio up in there.
I told you, I did. I've been loading. I loaded a bunch of stuff on there. What is
that?
It wasn't here.
That wasn't here either. Angie, is there stuff going on in your place? Huh?
Probably one of my cats.
Huh?
I don't
Sound like my cats.
It sounded like a cat one. Did one of your cats holler?
There you go.
Cheap. I got a cheap splitter.
Is he asking?
She lost her
Well,
audio.
there's 2 of them out
I didn't know if he
in the
was asking
bedroom
us
that
something or not.
kind of don't like each other, that keep going after each other.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, wait, but see, and the only reason that I asked is because
Can't hear
before I
it.
started,
That would be
Oh.
I
Bailey.
didn't hear anything at all.
yeah,
Nah.
before I started doing the
Well,
show,
that's
before I
weird.
even logged stuff on, I had something come through my headphones that I couldn't explain.
Here, let me go see if I can get them to.
No, you're good. You're good. We're getting ready to sign off here in a minute. But yeah, I had an EVP happen prior to us starting the show, which is not uncommon for us. We have it happen all the time. But I thought it was interesting that since we're going to be talking with Astrid tonight, and some, we talked about EVPs and we talked about some of the weird things that had gone on in the house while we were there. And for me to get the EVP or the voice through my headphones before I started doing anything, I thought was kind of weird. But it was pretty interesting. So that's why I asked. I was like, man, is that another one coming through?
I mean, when we used to do this before.
No, I think it was Miss Lucy and Mr. Bailey.
Should have named it Desi, so he had a Lucy and a Desi because they'd like to fight anyway.
Yep.
That's funny.
Good one, Greg.
Yeah.
I do remember living in an apartment where
Lucy
futuristic man looked at me. And he looked right at me and telepathically told me the time is now. And I remember screaming I didn't want to go and I was shaking. But his mouth looked reptilian. But the rest of him was like a nice looking guy that had like brown hair and a bowl haircut and a charcoal gray, like futuristic suit. But when he came through my bedroom, he looked right at me like he knew where I was when he said the time is now.
Weird.
Yeah. But you know what? I can't. In 40 years of being in the UFO world,
right?
I can't tell you how many times. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people that I've heard personally say that they were told the same exact words.
Yeah, I've been reading up on it, and people actually say the time is now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they've been saying it for 40 years. Yeah. So, like, whose time are they on?
Right.
But
we're on alien time. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I'm lucky in the sense that whatever happened, I remember it happening, but I have no memory of what they did, and I feel very blessed.
Mm-hmm. No hypnosis for this girl. No thanks.
Right.
If it ain't broke, I ain't fixing it.
Yeah, I whatever they did or whatever, I really don't want to know. It's just weird they want me to remember what's they, I remember them whatever they're doing, but I don't know if that's a subconscious thing to where I've just like blocked it all out. But for some reason, I remember either coming back or the start of it.
Yeah.
All I know is I finally don't sleep with the covers over my head after all these years, but I do make sure that I have animals surround me when I sleep.
I do that too. I got a dog bed, literally.
I figure they don't want to mess with my cat.
See, we don't have a choice in that. Our dogs have decided that my bed is their bed, and there's no moving them. There's no getting around it. But I will say, little man is sensitive and likes to bark at things that no one else can see. The other two dogs don't see it either.
Sheldon does that too.
Yeah.
My Sheldon.
Now, my cats like to look up at the ceiling and the walls and look at things that aren't there.
He said, well, see, I've had some weird shit happen today. And
well,
I can't
tell.
Yeah, we've told. Now you get to tell a story.
I can't explain it. There's just, the dog is standing in the middle of the living room, little man, and he's barking little woofs towards Deanna's computer and her desk. Her chair is pulled out, but it's facing in the wall. He stood there for, 5-10 minutes and just, I'm like, so finally I had to turn around and say, look, leave my dog alone. And he went on about his business. Everything was cool. And then he's standing over here by me and he's looking up at the ceiling just around the corner, and he's doing it again. And there's a plant shelf above the dining room, living room break. And then last night he was doing the same thing. I have a little cutout in my door in our bedroom so the cat can go in and out of the bedroom when he wants. And that dog laid there in front of that hole, I don't know, from about 9:45 till about 10:30, 10:45, and did that exact same thing. And then all of a sudden just stopped and jumped back up on the bed, but he wouldn't get in between us like he usually does. He usually crawls up in between us on our pillows. And mind you, this is a 61-pound pit bull. Now he'll crawl up in between us on our pillows and lay between us and touch both of us while we sleep. He laid on my opposite side, closest to the door, facing the door, and would move. He laid there all night, on my leg, all night long. So I don't know. I just have some weird paranormal stuff going on, which makes sense because one, we're talking about the show. For two, we're doing the investigation this weekend. Things seem to kind of amp up for me before investigations anyway.
Yeah, I get jazzed.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just kind of weird stuff, man. Them dogs and cats, they ain't no joke. They know what's going on. Oh, it's
Check
weird
this
though.
out.
It's only the pit bull. It's not the, well, I guess I have 3 pit bulls, but it's not the older girl. It's not the girls at all. It's just little man.
When she pulled up in the driveway, or she pulled up in front of the house tonight, come to my house, I went outside and, I'm like, hey, come on in, and I saw these 2 lights. They look like headlights in the sky south of us, just south of where I was standing. And I showed her, I said, look at that. They weren't moving. They didn't look like they were moving at all. And I thought, oh, it's got to be a plane or something. We could hear something behind us. But you know how sometimes sound travels. So we're watching it, and I did not have my phone with me. I said, oh, let me run in and get my phone and come back out so I can take some video of this. So she stayed out there and was watching it, and it was still there when I came back, and it hadn't moved. And I'm like, what the is this? What is going on here? So I started recording it, and the 2 lights turned into 1, and then it looked like it was kind of zigzagging a little bit, but basically in the same place, but then it started dropping. And I recorded it till it dropped below the tree line. And I'm like, I'm still trying to figure out whether was it a helicopter or something, but
it hovered in the same spot.
It had 2 lights on it. I've never seen a helicopter with 2 headlights on it. Now I've seen a plane come towards me with its landing lights on. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, what are you doing? You got sandpaper on that motherfucker? Woo!
That's not me. I didn't do that. But anyway, it was coming towards us. But I mean, a helicopter, I've seen them, police helicopters out on 31 looking for speeders and whatnot, or the, a hospital is down the road, not too far from where I live. And, the chopper comes in there and lands. It'll fly over my house. You can hear it when it flies over the house, when it's getting ready to land at Howard Community. It's loud. But I've never seen one with headlights on it like a car. And it was just so weird that it was there when she pulled up, and we were standing there looking at it, and then I videotaped it. Well, with my phone, video record. I'm still saying videotape this. I'm 64 years old. That's why.
I understood you.
but still, that was just tonight. So I'm going to have to look at that video and try to see if I can figure out what the hell that was. And, I'm going to go online and maybe try to see if I can find something that tracks choppers in the area or whatever, and see if I can play something there. But if I can't, I don't know what that was.
Upload it on here.
Yeah.
If you think about it, upload down here. I'll take a look at it too.
Okay. Yeah, I can't do it now. It's on my phone, but I'll have to email it to myself or figure out a way to get it off my phone onto my computer.
You got an iPhone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just plug it right into the computer. It'll pick it up.
Cool.
But yeah. So
but that was tonight. So,
Well, what the hell?
What the hell?
Why didn't you have it on there?
Because we were in a hurry. I mean, it was far.
Really? English? Oh, English hot.
Because we was about to start the show, and I didn't want to write nothing. but I'll have it. I'll get it.
Yeah,
ready
yeah.
for next
Spit it
week.
out, Deb.
It's these new teeth. Damn.
So, all right. Well, listen, we're coming
So what's the
to.
investigation this week, this Saturday?
I can tell you about that. I got involved with a group down here in Boonville, which is about 20 minutes or so north of where we're living. And it's Boonville, Indiana Paranormal Society. And they're doing an investigation, or I guess I say they, I mean we, are doing an investigation in Kokomo this weekend. It's going to, I guess I can say it because we'll have evidence that we'll put up the Masonic Temple in Kokomo during the day, and then the Davies House during the evening. And according to a lot of the paranormal websites, like if you search, the top 10 paranormal or hottest paranormal places to investigate in Indiana, Davies House is in the top 10. There's a lot of activity that goes on there. It's going to be pretty interesting. From what I've been told from them and kind of the little bit of research that Deb has shot over to me, I figured out something in my age as I get older is that I can't research for shit. I see it and I go, oh yeah, I probably ought to look into that. I should really take some time and look at that. And then 4 days later, it's like, hey, did you get to take a look at that? And I'm like, fuck no.
It ain't old age, dude, because I'm older than you.
Okay, then I suck at it, and I'm hands on. I'm not the research historian. But yeah, this house is pretty hardcore, and it's going to be interesting, I think, to see
Where's that ass at?
what we can find. 701
Jefferson.
East Jefferson.
Mhm.
Oh,
It's not that far from you.
no.
And I'd never heard of it.
I've never heard of
Me
it. I've
either,
lived in
me
Kokomo
either.
for 30 years, and I've never heard of it. What
Yeah.
the hell?
Yeah, and they
That's my thing.
The house is occupied right now by someone living in it.
yes and no. The people who own it basically just run it for paranormal investigations.
Well, that's sweet.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. And like I said, the information that I've gotten so far is that it's pretty hardcore, pretty decent, pretty active. So it's going to be interesting to see what we get out of it. We've got some other things that we've been talking about too. I mean, I'm interested in going back up to the Rhodes Hotel in Atlanta, Indiana. Deb was telling me about another type hotel bed breakfast type thing just up the street from that I'd like to hook something.
The Asher Walton Hotel. It's also in Atlanta, and you can practically see the roads from the Asher Walton. I mean, they're just like a couple blocks from each other.
Right,
And
right.
I was at an investigation there about 5 or 6 years ago. That was the last time I got some really, really good EVPs there. Yeah. And the people that ran it are really nice folks. So,
Nice.
But yeah, it's that was a good one.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this weekend is going to be interesting. I'm kind of jazzed for it and get back into it and kind of brush the dust off a little bit and
Yay!
And the veil's thinner right now too.
Yeah.
This is going to be interesting.
Yep. And come back next week. We're going to have Natalie with us, her daughter Natalie, who is actually probably the focus of a lot of the stuff that happened in 2012.
She's been talking about some gifts that she recently realized that she has. She videotaped it and sent it to me.
That's going to be a good show.
Yeah. She's finally come to terms with what she can do and what she sees and what she hears and what she feels, because there was a period to where she just wanted to just not talk about. She wasn't going to see it anymore. Even if she saw it, she wasn't going to talk about it. I mean, you couldn't drag it out of her. But now she wants to talk, and she's embraced whatever gift she has. So
Good.
she'll be interesting.
Yep. It'll be a good show.
Going to be a good show. So that is next Thursday night, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, here on MidwestParatalkRadio.com. Midwest Paratalk Radio on YouTube. Remember, you guys can go over to the MidwestParatalkRadio.com website. Click on the shop page. You can click on the banner. You can pick up some NPR merch, and you can also click on Deb's book and buy Deb's book. It'll direct link you to Amazon.
It's good. I've been reading it. It's good.
Thank you.
I didn't want to put it down. I tell her I've done the first 2 chapters. I'm on chapter, the last one. I mean, it's a good book.
Thank you. I appreciate
You won't regret it. It's a good book. It's a good read.
Thank you.
I'm in the book.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you guys, if you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate it. Click on the subscribe and the bell notifications. We'll come at you every every Thursday night. My name's Deb. That's Greg. Damn it. I've done that, Ange. I've done that for the last 3 shows. I'll start the show out. Hey, welcome to Midwest Paratalk Radio. I'm Deb. Damn. I'm Greg. That's Deb. I don't know, man. It's just
like
whole
some
messed up.
Freaky Friday crap.
Yeah.
I said that. Shut up.
Getting close to Halloween.
Right. Also, you can check our podcast out on Apple, Spotify. I've been busy this week. Podomatic. Yeah. So that's Midwest Paratalk Radio on Podomatic, and then, like I said, Apple and iTunes and all that good jazz. So remember, you can come back here next week. We'll be live. We'll talk to Natalie a little bit about the stuff that went on at the house and the investigation, and kind of what she's got going on now as far
it's a lot.
as normal and whatnot. So it'll be an interesting show. So we hope to see you guys next week. So with that being said, we will see you guys later, and take care. Good night. Welcome to Midwest Paratalk Radio with your host, Deb and Gregg.